Karen and Dan. What brings you guys to Vegas?
Well, it was my birthday on
Your birthday?
Sunday.
His birthday.
So now I'm a really old fart.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah,
Thanks.
happy birthday.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
I know it's rude to ask a woman, but can we ask you how old you are, Dan?
I just turned 61.
61.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Did you do it up right in Vegas?
Yeah, we've done it up right so far. I mean, we're going home tomorrow, but she's getting another tattoo.
Oh, there you go.
There you are.
You got
This
it all.
afternoon.
You got it scheduled?
I do.
There you go.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
She's already, you know.
They're great guys.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on the birthday.
Yeah, we had a couple other meetings we had to do out here. We wanted to incorporate with you guys, and then yesterday I did a virtual podcast with Jonathan Redbeard, and he said hi.
Oh yeah. Likewise.
Yeah. Everybody's getting us back on the circuit again to try to carry on the message and keep the enthusiasm going with what's going on, and
sure.
everybody's in the field hunting, and so I had a guy last week call me. He goes, "Did we win?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "The vote. It's election day. It's November 5th." Oh. Same day as the president one. Yeah, that's election.
Yeah, same day as that.
So if he's listening, I don't mean to be rude, but no, we didn't win anything yet. We're still building up for the win.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, we want to get into that. I think before we do you want to hit promo so we get that out of the road?
We can get that out of the road, yeah.
So we'll head through with the promo. Promo, you can use the promo code podcast. You can sign up for a Go Hunt Insider membership. If you do that, you're going to get $50 back into the Go Hunt Gear Shop. Still a good time of year to sign up. And we're here. We're going to talk to Dan and Karen Gates today. We're going to talk about Colorado, kind of what's going on there. But man, if you love hunting and you want to hunt, you want to continue to hunt, sign up for a membership and also donate.
So I got something along those lines
for
the what's new side of Go Hunt. I don't know if Dan knows about this yet. That we have for the shop portion. Of
There's probably a good chance I don't know about it. Yeah, I've been one of those. I've been one of those guys that's been out in the field for the last 3 weeks.
Doesn't know.
Yeah. So,
who am I?
So surprise me.
Yeah. So this is like the what's new at Go Hunt section. So we have a bunch of shop items I just want to touch on real quick, and then jump over. So we have a bunch of new things back in stock: Camo Softy, Olive Stratus, Black Rock hoodie. We have some new hats, the unit hat, which I
got one on my head.
That's what that is? The unit hat?
Probably. Oh no, I think the unit's for big-headed dudes.
Okay, well no, then we have
guys with big brains.
We have a new goat hunt hat in size XL for the guys with big brains.
Okay.
Because we've been asking for a bigger hat.
Smart
but
guys.
then the big thing is that probably you both don't even know about is now when you shop on Go Hunt, at the bottom when you go and shop on our store, the Go Hunt Gear Shop, you have an option to donate directly to CRWM.
Oh, that's badass.
Wow.
That's
So you can basically, it's one of those roundup donations. So you can do $1, I think it's like $5, $10, $20, $100, or other amount. So you can instantly round up that donation.
That's cool.
To give it to you guys to continue the fight.
Appreciate it.
So that's something new right now in the Go Hunt Gear Shop. So right when you go and check out, right beforehand, you'll see the little box that has your logo on it and everything, and has a little drop down where you can select the amount you want to donate.
That's awesome.
So we just implemented that. So that's going to be. That was literally, I think maybe 3 days ago we did that.
Very cool.
And we already had some donations too, which is really cool. People
Yeah.
already saw it organically when they're obviously we're checking out. So
Yeah. So round up or donate.
round up and donate. Yep.
That's badass. Appreciate it very much.
So that's going to be a really cool
The
feature.
generosity that guys like you and industry leaders like you is we talked about it in the hall, but it's pretty remarkable. Everybody wants a piece of the action for the cause. And I think that's the inspiring thing. The thing that's admirable is that everybody realizes that this is not a one and done deal. Everybody's got to figure out a way to make their contribution and make their impact.
For sure.
So
yeah, we talked earlier when you got here. We haven't had a chance to kind of finalize it, but I think probably within the next week or two, we're going to do a giveaway, and we'll kind of put the details to it. But yeah, I've got some stuff. I'm sure I've got some stuff my wife would love me to give away. Some backpacks kicking around. Yeah, I got a backpack that's just freshly broken and bloodied. So yeah, donate that. And we'll get some stuff together. We'll do a big Go Hunt giveaway and donate it to you guys.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, try to find another way to raise some funds.
Yeah, so look for details on that via social media and probably Instagram and YouTube and wherever else you're clued into. Well, very good. Thanks. like catch us up on what's going on. You said that you had an individual that just said, he was completely unaware that, we hadn't gone to a vote yet. I know that, was it back in July, right? They had to submit signatures.
Yep, they submitted signatures, and then it took roughly almost 5 weeks for the Secretary of State to certify those signatures. And so instead of Initiative 91, we're at Proposition 127 now. So anybody that refers to anything that's initiative is
dated.
Yeah, dated, ill-informed. So it is Proposition 127, and it made the ballot to the chagrins of us, even through a decline to sign campaign. But there's a backstory to that too, because the Colorado governor kind of got involved on some other ballot initiatives, and they were taken off the ballot by the proponents. They were oil and gas measures, and the people that were being paid to go out and get signatures didn't have a client anymore, so they offered cats aren't trophies, or the proponents of this particular measure, an opportunity to say, hey, we were doing $20 a signature for on the oil and gas stuff, but we don't have the oil and gas ballot anymore, so we would do yours for $4. And so cats aren't trophies could afford that. And so they went out. They were having a hell of a time trying to get signatures, and they went out and they had enough money to get signatures, and they needed 124,238 to qualify. They got 188,000, but 140,000 of those were actually certified. So there was still 48,000 that weren't, for a variety of reasons. Maybe somebody wrote Mickey Mouse, or maybe they had the wrong zip code, or maybe they didn't do a change of address or something. But in any event, that's where we ended up. And for 6 weeks, from the end of June until the first part of August, until actually the 9th of September, is when we actually had the Blue Book language that was just certified. And we did 3 different drafts, the draft analysis through the Legislative Council. And that's where anybody that's in a state that has a ballot initiative, 26 states that do, they've got the Blue Book, and the Blue Book's got all the lengthy information about each ballot, and people can read about the pros and the cons. What they'll see on the ballot itself is just the title. They won't see all the ancillary BS.
You don't see all that when you go and actually vote. So
yeah,
that's why you need to do you
got to do your homework
ahead of time.
Yeah, and it'll say pros and cons and why and when and who and everything. But when it comes to the ballot side of it, it'll just specifically say, the people of Colorado will do this, and in this case, prohibit the harvesting of mountain lions and bobcats and lynx. That's still on there, but there is no trophy hunting on there. We told you guys that when we were here in May.
Yeah,
it's not a trophy hunting measure.
Yeah. Is there any? So, am I understanding this correctly that they were paying people to collect signatures on a variety of ballot initiatives,
yes,
right? And some came off, oil and gas, which you just said, and which allowed essentially them to free up room to pay people to then collect signatures for this initiative.
Yeah,
is that coincidental? In your opinion?
Well, it's
seems calculated.
Especially when you look at the players and the powers that be that are making those decisions. I mean, the governor of Colorado has not been very favorable to the oil and gas industry anyway.
Yeah. And
all of a sudden, he wants to turn around and make a compromise to keep things off of the ballot for a variety of different reasons. But we have advocates on our side from the oil and gas industry that did not support the compromise that was made between the governor and the oil and gas industry to take that stuff off the ballot.
Right.
Coincidence? Maybe stars aligning?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it didn't help us.
Politics is such a dirty business, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting dirtier. I mean, I don't know how some of those people wake up in the morning and then just don't wash their hands because it's a dirty, dirty business.
Gotcha. So now that this has moved to a ballot not initiative, it's a ballot
proposition.
A proposition.
Yep.
Has the language changed at all?
No, it still remains the same. I mean, the exact verbiage is easily decipherable outside of the fact that they don't have trophy hunting that I mentioned, because we took that out back in through our fights in December, January, and February. But it's a hunting measure, and it specifically says it's a hunting measure, and it will prohibit the hunting of, it's not the trophy hunting of, but prohibit the hunting of bobcats, mountain lions and lynx, even though we talked about this before. The lynx are the red herring, or maybe it's the blue herring in this case. I'm not sure, but it's the herring. And lynx are federally and state protected in the lower 48. They can't be harvested. And we've had some people ask us over the course of the last 180 days, well, why would they include lynx? They specifically said during their testimony to the Legislative Council and the Secretary of State Title Board that if lynx ever became delisted, that they never wanted them to ever be harvestable, period. That shows the preemptive strike and where they want to go with some of this stuff. But it also shows just how determined that they are based upon some of the other outreach that they've had. For instance, when I was here before, again, I mentioned Trish Zornio with the Colorado Sun did an article about bighorn sheep, saying, why are bighorn sheep different than mountain lions? Why are we hunting the state animal? Was it about a month ago in the Pagosa Daily Camera, or the Daily Mail, or whatever the heck it's called, there was a guy that wrote an op-ed on turkeys. Why are mountain lions any more important than turkeys? Why are we allowing the harvesting of turkeys?
Oh, wow.
And they carried it. Now, this is in a mountain community, southwestern Colorado. The fact of the matter is that people's perceptions, when you have 78 game species out of 961 species of wildlife, you're going to find somebody that's an advocate for every single one of those game species. Why are we harvesting swift fox? Why are we harvesting elk? We shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing that. We got 5.9 million people in the state that probably have about 17 million different opinions about things. And our side of the fence, our hook and bullet crowd, needs to pay attention that it's not about mountain lions and bobcats. It's about hunting. It's about all forms of hunting. And it doesn't matter the method of take, the season, the species, the state, for that matter. This is a preemptive strike.
And they were allowed to maintain lynx, even though it's
yeah.
To me, I mean, just if you look at it, to me, it seems like that's kind of an underhanded way of like saying, oh, let's include this species that we know can't be hunted. It's endangered.
Yeah.
Just to attract probably the hearts and minds.
Yeah, the hearts and minds saying,
more people.
Yeah, hunters are hunting, or they would like to hunt an endangered species.
Yeah.
If you will.
Well, and that's why it was so important for us to go through the entire Title Board Supreme Court side of things a year ago. A year ago, we were here in Vegas celebrating my birthday, and they dropped the hammer on the initiative on September 22nd, my birthday last year. Coincidence or not, I don't know. But, I mean, that's when they dropped it. So 368 days later, we're back here again, and we're still fighting all of the stuff that we had to start fighting last year. But none of this is anything other than the perfect stars aligning because the powers that be have an agenda to stop everything.
Were you surprised that they were able to get the signatures? Well, where are you at on that? And then I guess I would, as a follow-up question, knowing that they did, how are you feeling as far as going in November?
I was surprised that they were able to get the signatures in the manner that they did because they didn't have the money to be able to turn around and pay for the signatures because of the oil and gas demand, the circulation on the canvassing for the signatures. But I wasn't surprised once the doors and the floodgates opened that they could, look, there again, people have a lot of opinions, but uneducated opinions, it's easier for people to make a mistake on a check on a box or something, or put your name on something. Keep in mind that we got 14 ballot initiatives on our ballot this year. There's 7 constitutional and 7 statutory. That's voter fatigue to some degree. I mean, that didn't include candidates. That didn't include the local stuff like what the city of Denver's doing on the fur ban with the cowboy hats and the Native American crafts and the fishing lures.
I just saw that the other day.
And I'm on the issues committee for that. That's Ordinance 308. And then the slaughterhouse ban is Ordinance 309. They want to ban one slaughterhouse that's the largest lamb slaughterhouse in the western United States. And you just add it up, and some of these ballots are going to be, 25, 30, 40, 50 pages if they keep adding stuff on top. And then you got judges, and you got the school district stuff, and you got the taxes and the abortion and the road and bridges and all the other stuff that people have to worry about.
So that means you're saying by the time they get to certain things, there's like, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to mark whatever I like and not think on it. And
you just hope they vote no. Vote no, because I didn't have a chance to read it all. And I think it's going to be mind-boggling at the thickness of the Blue Book, of the ballot initiative Blue Book, because we've had them before sent to the House, and you look at it and go, are they changing all of us on every single level? And that's when we had 2 or 3 ballot initiatives, and now we've got 14 this year.
Yeah. That is a lot.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And there was an attempted another 30 that didn't make it. So you stop and think that, I mean, states that have ballot initiatives have a tough road to toe, an uphill road on a variety of different things. And should the voters be able to turn around and help make the decisions on what should be on the ballot? I honestly believe they should, to some degree. I don't think wildlife management is one of those things.
Yeah.
Just as I don't think brain surgery should be one of those things.
Is there anything we can do overarching in the country to make sure that's never on ballots across all 50 states? Like,
probably not on all 50 states because the wildlife is managed on a state level.
So,
under the North American model side of things. But there is something that we might be able to do, and we've been talking to legislators in Colorado about maybe trying to enact a raise the bar standard, so to speak, that on wildlife-related issues, that you made it mandatory to, if you were going to pass something like that, to get through the criteria and the hoops and the hurdles at the initial stages, to at least adhere to the same requirements or mandates that you would on the constitutional amendment, which is 55% instead of 50.1. That would make it harder, but just to be able to get the signatures, instead of going willy-nilly and everybody standing out in front of one Whole Foods or in one county of Denver, that you would have to get your signatures from 2% of your signatures from each one of the 35 Senate districts in the state.
And that was not the case, right?
No, they can just turn around and stand wherever the heck they want to.
You have to assume that most of those signatures came from Boulder or downtown Denver, right?
The overwhelming majority, we think, probably did. I mean, there was people canvassing all over the place, and we saw them in Gunnison. We had people call us in Durango, so there's people down here trying to get signatures. We had them stand out in front of Bass Pro and Cabela's, and you wouldn't think, but stop and think about the guy who has 9 clipboards, who's getting paid per signature to get them. He didn't care where he stands.
Exactly.
He more than likely he doesn't even live in Colorado. That's his job, and he just travels around from place to place to place with clipboards to say, "Hey, you want to sign this?" That's his job.
He can probably pitch that any way he wants. It's probably some hustling college kid that thinks, "Hey, I'll go to Bass Pro and I'll say, hey, do you guys support lion hunting? Sign this."
Yeah, exactly.
It can be as backhanded as you wanted it to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things that we would look at too, is trying to figure out, is there a chink in the armor that we can capitalize on when it comes to wildlife and natural resource management, and how that would benefit the natural resource management and wildlife, not just the people that don't want anything to happen on it.
Something I was thinking about this last week, and I was elk hunting in Colorado, so I had a lot of time to think about Colorado and what a awesome state it is, and unbelievable resource. Colorado Parks and Wildlife, where are they at? How much pull do they have? Do you have kind of a...
Can they even say anything? Are they legally?
Can they?
Well, it's interesting. If you Google any of the stuff that's happened in the last week, I testified in front of the Senate Ag and Natural Resources Committee last week on some potential legislation that they were willing to try to help us run. And they had Director Davis and Assistant Director Reed DeWalt on Zoom screen, and Senator Dylan Roberts specifically asked, who's running the show? Are you guys able to make the decisions, or is there somebody up higher that's helping you make the decisions? And I like the hell out of Reed DeWalt and Jeff Davis, but you could see that both of them were looking at each other like, who wants to answer this?
Yeah, how do you answer it?
Yeah, and so the scrutiny that's been given to that over the course of the last 10 days, there's been some articles and some op-eds, and there's been some open records request of the governor's husband, who has a state email address, who has been very inside as far as decision-making processes and what CPW should be allowed to do and what they shouldn't be allowed to do, or just the decisions that go on. This is a manipulation of the process and procedure, and to try to obstruct and alter science-based wildlife management. And nothing could be more obvious than what they're actually doing and how they're trying to do it. And mountain lions just happen to fall into it right now with a variety of other things. I mean, beavers are on the chopping block. You turn around and look at all fur bearers. They could do nothing other than they get their way on about 20 different species and still not be satisfied.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's depressing every time we come in here.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's not going to be.
You want to talk about Karen's tattoo now?
Yeah. No, I genuinely, I mean, my hope is, and my feeling is, I guess that the whole purpose of, getting together and talking about this is because it's so paramount to us and, our lifestyle and what we love and what we want to do. And I guess my hope is, and I genuinely believe at some point we'll be all able to sit down at a table like this and we'll be able to talk about what we did and celebrate the victory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the goal. I was curious as to, like, if we go back and, I mean, if you look at the introduction of wolves, right? And that was a vote, right? Went to a vote.
Yep.
And I believe it was close,
50.9 to 49.1.
So super close.
Yeah.
Right. Are you feeling like this is comparative to this? Is it a similar type of issue that you think the vote will kind of fall out in a similar manner? Will it be that close? I mean, how are you feeling in regards to those two measures?
And we're into the middle of the campaign right now, and if our opposition hears any of the outreach we're doing, it's kind of water under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the polls that we did back in November of last year versus the multiple polls that we've done, I think Mark said 5 research polls in the last 75 days, which is probably a remarkable turnaround of events anyway. For one, because of the money. For two, because of the changing demographics and people's perceptions. Wolves have been actually probably a godsend for us as far as information and distribution of information over the course of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But since we were here in May, they're in the news every single day
Yeah.
for a variety of different reasons.
Did they just relocate?
They relocated some wolves that were relocated, and one died, and then they've got the other ones in captivity, trying to figure out what the hell to do with those ones, which is essentially could be partially in violation of state law. And then if you look at the lawsuit that's going on from the Colorado Conservation Alliance on the wolf issue, which is good to turn around and try to hold that up because they don't think that the NEPA and the EIS were all done appropriately. Well, now no state, no tribe will give wolves for continued introduction purposes to Colorado. So they found British Columbia that's willing to do it. So now they're turning around. And now let me throw something out here. Conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat, Black Hawk helicopters, I don't know. But all of a sudden last week the Biden administration comes out and is going to delist wolves. When we're talking about getting wolves into Colorado from out of country. If you delist, is that a coincidence? Does it align with a mission of particular agenda-driven individuals or mentalities?
Jeez.
It's just coincidental. All of a sudden, we're going to bring something in from out of country. But we couldn't do that if they were listed. But now if they do become delisted, you can bring them in. But none of the other tribes or none of the other states wants anything to do with that, including where Director Davis came from, which was Washington. And where Samantha Berger Miller, who's running the Cats Aren't Trophy campaign on the Mountain Lion Band, where she came from, even that state and even the tribes there said, "Oh, hands off! No, we're not going to do any of that." I think that's more than a coincidence. The way things are playing out, the chess pieces that are coming up.
Yeah.
Didn't you say something last time we were on the podcast? If every hunter in Colorado had actually voted though for the wolf thing because it was so close, we would have won.
If they'd have voted the right way, that would have been
But it's like this is rallying the people in Colorado to actually go and vote.
Exactly. Get off your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, in Colorado you don't have to go to the poll. It's mail-in ballot only.
Yeah, I was going to ask you the process. I want to go through the process. I want to understand that better. So you don't have to show up to a poll. You can mail in ballot.
Yeah, they send them out to you, and it doesn't cost you anything to send them back in. All you have to do is open it up, read the blue book or not read the blue book, fill it out, and send it in. Or you can take it to the county office or wherever you reside and drop it off.
And this Prop 127 will be on that.
Yeah.
And you can mail it in, or you can show up and vote.
You can't show up.
You can't show up. It's all mail-in.
It's all mail-in.
No kidding.
You can take it. You can take it in.
But
all you have to do it in the pleasure of your own home. You don't have to stand in line. You don't have to wait for weather. You don't have to take a day off. You can do it at 3 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock on a Sunday when the Broncos are getting their ass kicked. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that you can do to make your voice heard. But the one thing I wanted to mention, and it's worth mentioning, is when we did our last poll in the Denver regional Boulder area, 1,500 individuals that we surveyed and asked them specific questions about mountain lions and bobcats, trying to get a feel of wildlife management and science-based management. 27% of those acknowledge themselves as registered Democrats, 23% registered Republicans. The remaining 50% are unaffiliated. But 13% of the 50% openly identify as socialist. Now, that's scary. That so the socialists, are they pro-animal?
Yeah.
Are they con-animal? And so this is going to be this whole outcome at a variety of different levels is going to be determined as to groups that we haven't typically had to turn around and try to message to, and that we haven't had an ongoing education campaign to over the course of the last 10 or 15 or 20 years. The reason that's worth mentioning is that's not just what's happening in Colorado. That's happening in big cities all around the country, specifically in the West. And people need to pay really, really close attention. When you have, and I'll give some statistics here. Again, 27% registered Democrats, 23% registered Republicans, 50% unaffiliated. But if you look at our General Assembly makeup, it's 49 Democrats to 16 Republicans in the House and 23 Democrats to 12 Republicans in the Senate. Mm-hmm. Those numbers don't align and match up with the voter registration number because the unaffiliated or part of the socialists are making the decisions on who is actually going to be elected. That goes into the psyche of the general voter. And if you're talking about stuff that doesn't appeal to them or they really don't care about, like maybe mountain lions and bobcats, unless somebody brought it to their attention, what does that do for science-based wildlife management or for sportsmen and women to be able to turn around and do what they want to do in perpetuity and sustain the resource over the course of the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years?
Yeah. Well,
that's where I'm scared.
Yeah, I mean, the whole process doesn't lend itself to sound scientific management of wildlife species, any of it. I mean, the fact that it's on that it's a ballot, that it's up for a prop, I guess you'd say, none of it is... none of it reflects sound wildlife management that should be made by professionals. I mean, the fact that we're at this table would suggest that.
Well, Karen, we did the Outdoorsman Days event in August in Florence, and we talked in the hall. We had 4,600 people. She sees, and she's played this game with me for the last 37 years, of how the uneducated sportsman is about things that they're supposed to care about. Mm-hmm. What does that say about how uneducated the general public is on stuff that they don't care about until somebody says it's wrong or it's right, and then you're forcing them to check a box? I mean, the amount of people that you had at the Outdoorsman Days that came up to the booth.
They had no idea. They had heard about it, but they really had not read about the initiative, so they were asking questions of why we were doing this and what was the purpose and things, and it kind of took me by surprise because that was in the middle of August, and this has been going on for almost a year, and they're supposed to be hunters or whatever, or sportsmen, and they didn't know anything about it, so I was kind of taken back with that.
Huh, that is scary.
That's what I thought.
Just like that guy calling me and said, "Did we win?"
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we have you can do what you can do to reach sportsmen, right? And hunters, anglers, trappers. We can do podcasts like this, and I think we reach a pretty good base. I think through other podcasts you've done, Meat Eater, we've a lot of different podcasts. You try to reach your base, but like, how do we talk to people that are the other percentages? Like, how do we find those people? Do we need people to go out and picket? Do we need people to show up and sit at Whole Foods and actually, talk to people about?
Well, I think we're creating a movement, and if you look at the social media stuff that we've done, and this is not to boast that we're bigger, better, meaner, faster, stronger. So we're just trying to figure out our way and navigate through the weeds. But if you look at the tailgate wraps and the signage that sportsmen have come up with on their own, that they're turning around and saying, I'm printing 10 signs or 20 signs, or my wife's got a 3D printer, or I've got this color printer, and I'm doing this and doing that. If you look at some of the stuff, it's giving them some empowerment and engagement that they can take ownership to be ambassadors for the message. And it's not just the message about this, but if you look at some of the tailgate wraps on what we've got that people are doing on their own, it's got the QR code, and then it talks about Wildlife Deserve Better, which is the issues committee. that is fighting the initiative. And I happen to be the chair of that. But individuals are doing their own tailgate wraps. You know, Brady's going out and saying, I want to do this. How much is it? It's $300. Okay, I'm going to put that on my truck. And then it's got the information. Now you have ownership to it.
Yep.
And then somebody turns around and hits you up at a parking garage or a Whole Foods or at the soccer game or whatever and say, what is this? And then it empowers you to be able to talk to them and send them to a point that you're supporting either monetarily or just messaging that we didn't normally used to have unless it said Hoyt in the back window or Matthews or Gunworks or Go Hunt or whatever it did, but it didn't have a cause. And these guys are taking it upon themselves on a grand scale from not bumper sticker size, but tailgate sticker to full wrap tailgates. That empowers those individuals themselves. It's no different than somebody going down the road and seeing something in a farmer's field that says Trump and Pence. Sure. Or Biden and Harris, whatever. It shows their ownership. But the kicker is everybody knows what that is. I've got that tailgate wrap on my truck. It was out, 3 days? I pulled up to a stoplight in Pueblo, Colorado, and there's a gal that had the great big giant sticker. I think it was 9 by 24 inches on the back of her little RAV4. And I looked and thought, well, that's the same thing I got on my tailgate.
Yeah.
And then you drive around the corner and you go 2 miles down the road and there's another one on another car. That's in a 1.5 mile section where you got hundreds of thousands of miles. If you have that sort of buyership, ownership, ambassadorship from individuals, that's how they get involved to turn around and say, I am part of this because I hunt. And I think that if that carries over past this election, win, lose, or draw, I think that's a victory in itself because then people can turn around and say, I don't just hunt. I need to turn around and educate and talk to the people that so they know that I hunt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did a presentation with Robbie Kroger. He was fortunate enough to rent the Paramount Theater in downtown Denver on the 29th of August. Had a great turnout, and the Lionheart premiere was played.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I got on stage, and to see the buyership of the crowd that was in there, and for them to turn around and take some rat cards and walk out and say, I'm gonna turn around and talk to my congregation. I'm gonna turn around and talk to my coworkers. I'm gonna talk to the soccer guys at the league for the kids or whatever. It gave them a sense of ownership that we haven't had on a wide scale, and I think that's probably the most enlightening thing to me.
That's a good idea. I like that.
I mean, it just gives you. It's different than a bumper sticker.
Sure.
Because now everybody sees it.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking of, and I was talking to Brady, I think yesterday about it, but I was thinking about this as I was driving back through Colorado. Thinking about the issue, I was thinking about just the people that I know personally that live in Colorado. I've got family. So my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, they live in Colorado. They've got, I think 2 or 3 adult kids. I've got college roommates that live in Colorado. Shout out Brock Hedberg if you listen to this. He owns it. He owns a feed store in Silt Rifle area.
Yep.
I was just going down through the list and I was looking through my contacts and I was thinking about the people that I know that live in Colorado, and a lot of them they hunt a little bit. But I thought, man, what would it hurt me to just reach out to go through my call list, go through my friends list on Instagram, anybody that I know that I can think of. That, whether they hunt or they don't hunt or they're kind of in the middle, shoot them a text and just say, hey, this is really important to me in my lifestyle. This is what it's about. Reach out to those people and just tell them, hey, show up and vote. This is really important to me. I would appreciate it. I'm not asking, this isn't a pyramid scheme or anything. I'm not trying to sell you nothing, but show up and vote. And it would mean a lot to me if you did so. So that's something that I've committed to. I'm going to do it. I'm going to reach out to everybody that I know, friend, family, that lives in Colorado and just say, hey, this is really important. Make sure that you show up on November 5th and vote no on Prop 127.
Well, and I got to say too, just like right now, I'm getting some text messages, a couple from legislators. Hey, I seen some of the bumper stickers or the tailgate wraps, as you call them, up on the Front Range. Is there anywhere that I could get one? Okay, that's the legislator talking about it. Yeah. We've got sign distribution locations in and around Colorado with businesses that have taken their business and opened up the doors that guys have printed signs up and said, hey, can you help us distribute some of this stuff? And kicker is that's not part of our campaign. That's individuals taking it upon themselves and say, I need an outlet to be able to distribute this. Yep. That's where we are going to make headway and get some of our ducks in a row for the future roadmap and the playbook of what is going to be necessary if we're going to continue to capitalize on all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to piggyback on Trail's thing, so when I was hunting last week, I had a camera guy with, and we were talking about these issues that are going on, and I was talking about the podcast I was going to have with you, and the question that like my camera guy kept asking, which I think a lot of people think of too, is like, how can non-residents of all the 49 other states help right now? Like, what are ways that we can, like, whether through outreach or whatever, like, what are strategies right now those people could do to bring awareness to this so that people in Colorado, know about this issue and vote correctly for it?
That the closer that we get to November 5th, obviously the money is going to become more and more and more of an issue, because the more that we have, the more that we raise, the more that's being contributed. The opposition is going to find some place to be able to say, hey, look, we got all the signatures and we did this and we did everything you guys said. We need some more money from you guys. So now it's going to be a tit for tat, punch for punch, all the way up to November 5th. We still need funding from the non-resident. The non-resident that has bought into the, applying for preference points or applying for licenses or whatever, we need their help and support. That's the number one thing they can do. The number two thing is they all know somebody in Colorado.
Yeah, like Trail's saying, give them a call. Like, reach out. Go through your Facebook profile, like dig up some old thing you got and like reach out.
I'm driving down I-70 and I'm just thinking of all the people that I know that I either went to school with or
do they know that this is even going on?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah,
I highly doubt it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if my brother-in-law listens to this, I apologize. He does hunt a little bit, but I almost guarantee he's kind of a novice hunter. Goes out when he can, draws a permit when he can. He does some deer hunting. He's taking his boys. He likes the outdoors. He likes hunting. But I would almost guarantee he probably doesn't know a ton about this issue. Probably doesn't even know that it's on the ballot.
No, and when I did that premiere with Robbie on the Blood Origins deal, there was a gentleman in the front row that said, "Oh, so what can we do?" And I said, "Share what we put out. Share what Wildlife Deserves Better puts out, which is the Issues Committee. Share what Save the Hunt or CRWM puts out. Don't just like it. I mean, you know what really pisses me off, and I'm not even a social media guru, is to get something that's really, really remarkable and you get 165 or 170,000 views, and it's got like 34 shares and like 19 comments and like 185 likes or something. I'm like, well, that's cool, but I mean, and the average view time of some of that stuff is 15, 20, 30 seconds. I mean, it's way above the industry standard. But our side is taking it in and going, man, that's cool. And they never do anything with it. Yeah. How about just get it out and then turn around and expand that message? We have the tool available to us. Every single one of us has got this. I mean, how many guys are using GOHUNT?
Yeah. I don't even know.
Yeah. but
there's a few.
But if everybody on GOHUNT or on any of the competing factors that are out there, or any of the I don't care who you follow or what you do or what product you use.
Nor do we.
If they would just turn around and share it to everybody that they know.
Yep.
It doesn't take that much, but it takes a lot to turn around and try to make up for lost grounds if you don't capitalize on it.
Yeah. Even if you're a person over in Maine, New York, any of those other states, like they should be sharing. They should be sharing it. It's like you said before. It's something that could happen in their state later on.
Look at the language, the way it's written. Yeah. I mean, it's coming to a state near you, and states that are vulnerable have a tendency to lean a little bit more middle of the road, or a little bit more Democratic, or a little bit more liberal, and that while it doesn't seem like that they're there. I mean, look at Colorado. 4 percentage points difference between Democrats and Republicans. But look at the unaffiliated. That's 50%.
Yeah.
We have the opportunity to capitalize on something that nobody has ever even thought about doing on a grand scale, because it was outside of our state boundaries. It was something that, in Kentucky, well, we don't hunt elk down here, so we just don't really care what goes on in Colorado. We don't have mountain lions in Alabama, so we don't really. No. They're coming after you because you use dogs, you use guns, and your intent is to turn around and harvest something, as says in the language, where it says intensely killing, wounding, stalking, pursuing, or entrapping a mountain lion or bobcat or lynx. That's the definition of what they're saying is hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof. I mean, like I said, I'm committed to you. I'm gonna go through my phones. I'm gonna go through my contacts. I think sharing it is important, but I think like a personal touch of reach. I'm just thinking, like, if I reach out to my buddy Brock and I say, you know what, Brock, we haven't talked in a while. I hope you're great, but you know what, you live in Colorado, and this is this is really important to me. Would you, a personal touch, would you please show up and vote no on this, for me?
And the kicker is, it's like that pyramid scheme. You call Brock.
Yeah.
Brock talks 3 to 4 people, and then 4 to 5 people turn. And pretty soon, maybe you hit somebody that is a city councilman.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a county commissioner. Maybe it's an influential business owner. Maybe it's a big time landowner. That's where you start to feel and feed off of this stuff. And I'll just tell you, some of the significant meetings that we've been able to have over the course of the last 3 weeks that are around people that I never thought I'd be sitting around the table with, we'd be having conversations with, to the tune of hundreds of thousands and millions, if not billions of dollars in their portfolio, and coming to the table.
Good.
That shows what we've built, at least from an influential component, that they see value in it, that we're not running some hodgepodge redneck, bearded old guy campaign. This is much more than us. We got a remarkable team that we hired. We got remarkable attorneys. We got remarkable messengers. We got remarkable strategists. We got remarkable media people. We got a remarkable level of volunteers and some paid staff. We've got compliance officers and independent expenditure committees and accountants and everything that it takes to run a campaign. But we need the boots on the ground guys, the grassroots guys, because that's what's really starting to take a hold after 12 months of this. And people are like, oh, crap, it's going to happen in 44 days, 43 days, 42 days, except for the guy that says what happened last week.
Yeah.
And
and then how do you keep the motivation going during hunting season?
That's the hardest
with the residents of Colorado. Like you're saying, this is going to happen then. Like, when can you mail these votes or mail these ballots in? Can you do you get them a couple weeks beforehand and you can mail them in, or does it have to be like the week up to it?
No, blue books will go out. The big blue book will go out October 5th. The ballots will be in the mail October 11th.
So anytime between then and November 5th, you can actually mail in. So if you're a Colorado resident, you have no excuse that it's hunting season and you did not submit your vote.
No, I mean first season, for instance, and there's other seasons going on, but first season goes from October 12th to the 16th, and then there's a gap. Next one doesn't start till the 26th. October 18th, we're having a rally at the Capitol on the west steps of the Capitol, a sportsman's rally at the Capitol.
Anybody show up to that?
Anybody. If we get 5,000 people there, I'd be just tickled to death. Bring your hounds. Well-mannered hounds.
You don't want my dog.
Yeah. And bring a poop bag so you can pick your own poop up. Because I'm not going around cleaning that poop up. But I mean, some of the swag will be available. Some of the rat cards and the handouts that we've got for information that you can turn around and give to your church members or give to your business leaders or whatever. And we'll have some keynote speakers. Some yard signs will be available. Some stickers will be available. Now, that's the 18th. That's a week after things will actually hit the mailboxes. But there again, that's an opportunity for a sense of engagement, a sense of camaraderie and community influence and ambassadorship that I mentioned. We have this in the cusp of a victory. And we just have to figure out how to put the pieces together. And the nice thing is, because it's between those two hunting seasons, there's not an excuse in the world that I should hear from anybody. I don't care if it's 5 hours from your town or 5 minutes from your house. You should be able to turn around and take 4 hours on October 18th to go to the Colorado steps of the Capitol on the west side, not the east side, the west side, from 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. We secured the permit. We are asking for people to participate and show their support, whether they hunt and fish or not. Because what we're talking about affects every single person that cares about conservation and wildlife management.
So October 18th, 10 to 2.
10 to 2 at the Colorado State Capitol.
West side of the Colorado State Capitol.
Yep. Rain or shine, doesn't matter. But it's not during hunting season unless you're doing something on the Eastern Plains. But it's on a Friday. Take a day off of work, call in sick, turn around and say you got to, whatever.
Every business owner right now should give their workers a day off on that day that are hunters. I'm saying it right now.
You're saying that to our business owner?
Anyone. Everyone should rally over there. Let's make it known.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to go back this might sound rudimentary, but this is kind of what we do. I'm clued in. I've got pamphlets. I'm at the table with you. I kind of understand the need of why this is important to me and my lifestyle. But for somebody out there, let's say you're from the South and you're listening to this podcast and you have a buddy in Colorado and you want to shoot them a message and say, hey, would you please show up and vote no on Prop 127? Can you boil it down into real simple means on why they should vote no? Like, why is this important? What does this ban mean?
The biggest thing that we say, and it's part of our talking points that we hope people would try to convey to people that they know or talk to, just like with that tailgate wrap, somebody stops you and says, what is this?
Yeah.
Same thing. Mm-hmm. This is an attempt to undermine science-based wildlife management and letting the experts turn around and manage our wildlife resources, period. Do you want activist or scientist? Mm-hmm. That's the easy 12-second sales pitch.
Yep.
You can get into, if you really want to sit and drink a beer with somebody about the North American model of wildlife conservation, but the average person doesn't have the time, the want, the desire. And while science-based wildlife management plays into the North American model and vice versa, stick to the facts. And the facts are, do you want extremists managing your wildlife? Or do you want experts and scientists managing your wildlife? Mm-hmm. That's the easiest thing. And I can tell you from the polls that we've done, that's the message that resonates the best. It's not about the fear mongering. It's not about the safety issue. Those are components that the general public's concerned about. Mm-hmm. But the number one thing is the experts versus the activists. Let the experts with the emblem on their shirt and a badge and a gun and a truck and all the data and all their degrees and certifications, let them do the science. That's the best argument that we have, because I think we could all agree. We could put 1,000 people out in this parking lot. One guy has a uniform on that looks like he's the authority. Anybody that wants to ask a question about wildlife management, where should I hunt, what should I do, what's the moose population like, they're not going to talk to you and me and everything. They're going to go to that guy right there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now they might talk to Brady because he knows more than everybody else. Yeah.
I'll send him that guy.
He's got the beard and the hair.
Yeah. But I mean that's where it is, and they realize the importance of the science side of it. Now some of our adversaries and some of our advocates don't think that that's the number one message, but it is. I mean, holistically and from an inspirational side of things, don't we all want our wildlife to be appropriately managed, whether we hunt it or not? Mm-hmm. We don't want somebody to turn around and come in from Maryland or Rhode Island just because they got money to turn around and stop it because they don't like it.
Yeah.
I'd be the first to say, and I think everybody in this room and every one of your listeners, if their game and fish department came to them and said, we have a problem with our moose, we have a problem with our mule deer, we have a problem with our rabbits, we need to turn around and really adaptive management. We need to do something. We would all agree. We would agree with we might have questions.
Yeah.
But we would agree.
Yep, you'd have questions.
Would you rather have the activists come in there, the extremists, and turn around and say, stop it? Why? Because. Period. Hard stop.
Yeah. Do you have you ever had a chance to sit down and talk to some of these people that are proponents of this? Like have a face to face?
Yes. Yes.
Is there? Because I mean, as you think your way through,
I'm one of the few.
I'm curious on how it goes. How do they logically justify it? Because if you look at a state like California, which banned lion hunting, and now, my understanding, we kill as many lions in a state like California as we did prior to hunting ban. We just kill them with government agents, right? At this point, we go out and kill lions. We have more problems with lions. We have more of that urban interface issues with lions. How do they logically talk through that to you? Is there talking to them? I'm curious to what those conversations
are like. There's a few that will
like.
actually acknowledge, I understand your perspective, Mr. Gates, but I strongly disagree. And we can agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. There's some that you cannot have that conversation with whatsoever. And not only can you not have it, I mean, you want to beat them down in the parking lot as much as what you possibly can because they don't care about your perspective. Mm-hmm. I've said this on maybe your podcast, but many other. By the way, this is the 80th podcast now that I've done this year. This is the second that Karen's got underneath her belt.
Man, good
but
on.
80 this year. We just did one day before yesterday with Jonathan Redbeard, and that was number 79. But to have that conversation with some of these individuals is probably the most trying. Because what's really hard is when they're so passionate about what they believe, even though they don't have the facts and the data and the statistics to back it up, They really do have passion for what they stand for. But when they get up on a hot mic and they talk to the legislature or the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, or they say something on television or something in an op-ed or something in a newspaper article, and it just lies. It's not a perception. It's not a passion about what they believe. It's just downright lies. And I find it very confusing that they can talk about science on their own, but it's their scientist to get their agenda. Parks and Wildlife has no agenda except for to manage wildlife in perpetuity and sustain those populations for the visitors and the people of state of Colorado and the wildlife itself. That's what the mission says. It's 33-1101 in the Colorado statute. The opposition doesn't have that. The opposition's job is to stop it. But it's remarkable that every single one of those industry out of that extremist side, they're all paid. I mean, it's a juggernaut industry to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars to turn around and stop the experts from doing what they're doing. And the way that they've been able to do it is through hunting and fishing over the course of the last 125 years. Yeah. The antis don't want it to ever continue at any single level. And you watch. You guys are younger than us. I bet in 50 years, you're going to see states that have no deer and elk hunting if we don't stop this now. Because of the preemptive strike, because of the case law, and because of the precedent that this will set. I'm 61 years old. They started this stuff back in the 70s and 80s when they took bear hunting away in the spring for baiting and hounds in 1992 with Initiative 10. Then they took foothold trapping away with cable restraint devices and body gripping devices in 1996. We held them at bay, so to speak, because of a lot of different things that happened in Colorado, but the demographics started to change. We changed our population so significantly over the course of the last 20 years, and the mentality of the general public, the societal changes of the general public have changed so dramatically. I think that if we don't stop this now, you'll see states that do not have deer and elk hunting, and I don't care whether it's in Alabama for whitetails or North Dakota for mule deer or Montana for elk. You will see states that don't have deer and elk hunting because of the ballot initiative process and because of the animal extremists and the animal rights momentum that they built up for this funding juggernaut that they've created.
So this is the most important vote, probably in a lot of our lifetimes.
Yeah. The way it's worded. It's not because it's mountain lions and bobcats, and I need to emphasize that. It's the way it's worded. You can turn around and change every single species and put it in place of mountain lions and bobcats, and it will be the same outcome if this passes. And it could also be the same outcome if this fails, because we would have set the tone and the narrative.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. If you look at the reintroduction of wolves, I mean, that was the most important, and then it passed. And then now you have lion hunting on the ballot, and it's the most important. And I agree with you, and I don't know that it's 50 years, to be honest. Like
it might be 20.
It might be less. I mean, I'm 45. I'll be 45 in November, and it's hard to actually, and I said this before when you were here, but it's really hard given my upbringing and kind of my rural upbringing. And we had a deer hunter's ball. We got the day off of school. Everybody went deer hunting. You raffled off a gun at a community dance, right? I think I said that last time, but that hasn't been that long ago. It's been 20 years ago.
Yep.
25 years ago.
Because you went to high school like 14 years, right?
Yeah, I repeated all of them. Yeah. I had a teacher that liked to say I got my PhD, which was my Paiute High School diploma.
Wow.
And I'm not sure I got that,
it's forged.
Yeah, but legitimately, that's 20 years. That's in my life, like not that long ago. To where we are now, I never would have thought we'd have been sitting at a table talking about the potential ban on, mountain lion hunting. And then you're right, it'll be bighorn sheep, it'll be mountain goats because they're charismatic. It'll be.
Well, I've said this over and over. Maybe I said it the last time I was here. In Colorado, for instance, just use an example for comparable analysis. There's less mountain goat, sheep, and moose hunters combined than there is mountain lion hunters. Mountain goat, moose, and sheep is less combined than mountain lion hunters. Stop and think of that.
Yeah.
This is supposedly the low-hanging fruit.
It's just like the tipping point.
This is more of a, because it's a lion, right?
It's because it's a lion. It's cute
lion.
and cuddly. They know if they can pedestalize the predators and bastardize anybody that wants to hunt predators, then it marginalizes the reason to be able to turn around and continue to manage those species. And if they do that, it's a trifecta: bastardize, pedestalize, marginalize, all three of those, that component. And pretty soon you get rid of something, why not go to something else? And I would anticipate that they'd probably go back into bears because they were somewhat successful. And because we have wolves and we're trying to put more wolves on the ground, I think that's going to become another deal where anybody that's middle of the road is a bastard when it comes to wolves. And they're going to marginalize the management of that. They're going to pedestalize the wolf because everything needs to be, handed to them on a silver platter.
Yeah.
Look, all of this stuff works in tandem with each other. I agree with that. And does some of it self-regulate? To some degree. But when you got 5.9 million people and 84 million visitors and less habitat than what you have, still have the same amount of acreage, just less habitat than what you used to have, something is going to give. And I think sportsmen and women, if they don't turn around and plant their flag in the sand, you're going to see there's a lot less to give and a lot more to get because there'll be less of us to be able to turn around and continue to propagate the natural resource management of what, in our state, the Colorado Parks and Wildlife has been able to do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, just speaking of bears, like that was one I think they're gonna probably jump to next. Because that cute, cuddly teddy bear type of thing. And like, so I was hunting.
How many bears did you see?
Yeah, I was hunting in your state last week. I will say this: I usually don't say what state I'm ever hunting in, but I was hunting there last week. I saw 16 mule deer bucks. All right, in 9 days of hunting. Guess how many bears I saw?
Probably close to that.
14.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about little cubs. I'm talking about 14 mature bears. I saw almost as many black bears as I did bucks. I'm talking, this is the high country.
And it shows you
Population is phenomenal.
Yeah.
For bears, obviously, because I'm in one small little area. I have a video of 3 bears in one little basin. Earlier that day, there was 6.
Where the acorns were, where they were stacking up on the food source.
There's plenty of predators on the landscape, and their populations are healthy, but they're going to try to go attack those because that's just the cute and cuddly animal.
Well, and they know that the more that they pedestalize that, the less likely it is that we're going to see people stand up to go against it.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's 20,000 bear licenses sold, a lot of that stuff is just sold because it's potentially
it's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's opportunity. But it's not like we have less bears.
No, and I think that's the problem, though, for the general public is they realize, like, oh, I've never seen a mountain lion, so they must be low populations and hunters are taking too many. I've never seen a bear because the population just must be so low because I've never seen one. But they're not out there actually putting eyes on the mountain and glassing the bear. Like, to see 14 bears in a week, like, those people would be like, wow, there's, like, never thought that would be a possibility.
They probably didn't see that many in Yellowstone.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
and I saw that in 9 days of hunting.
Yeah,
Like-
and conversely, it's interesting. I was hunting elk in Colorado. I called, so I hunted, I think, 8 days, 9 days. I think I called 17 different bulls in. Probably one of the most incredible as far as elk hunting experiences I've had is as far as elk.
Yeah, the elk all the time.
Elk numbers, I mean, bulls, screaming, a phenomenal, as far as hunting goes, archery elk hunting, a phenomenal experience. And moose, we saw moose, we saw a great bull moose the one evening. We were sitting there eating dinner, backpacked in. We had a big bull moose come walking right through, just grunting. Incredible experience. Camera guy's from Iowa. He's like, man, this is one of the coolest experiences I ever had. And it did my heart, kind of made me sad driving home to think, you know what, we're on the precipice of probably one of the most incredible resources in the history of the world. You've got this North American model of wildlife that has worked. It did the thing that we wanted it to do. We've got incredible elk herds in the state of Colorado. We have moose populations it's the best Shiras moose hunting herd.
Yeah.
Regardless of hunting, viewing, whatever you want to call it, recreation. The most incredible population probably in the history of that state, any state. I mean, it's like the shining star right now for moose populations in the lower 48 for Shiras moose. It hurt my heart to think, you know what, this is there's a potential for it to be a real fading opportunity and resource.
But Charles said it best with Howl for Wildlife, Charles Whitwam. and he did one of his posts, and he was talking about, eating mountain lion meat, and that some people think it's weird. So we're just going to stop it because you think it's weird. Well, they think it's weird that we hunt, and they just want to stop it.
Yeah.
If you talk to the average anti-hunter, they don't have a reason except for we just don't like it.
Feeling.
Yeah,
It's a feeling
and
thing.
they don't have any data to back it up. There's no statistics. There's no science. There's no peer-reviewed studies. They just don't like it.
Yeah.
It's just that they have the squeaky wheel, and the squeaky wheel more often than not gets the grease, especially when they turn around and bring it up to the vote of the general public.
Yeah.
That the majority of them, they don't hunt.
Yeah.
They don't care whether we hunt or whether we don't hunt. But you just hope that they check the right box when it comes. If we win this by 51% or 50.1%, I don't really care. What's really going to piss me off is if we lose it by 1 or 0.2%, or it's closer than what the wolf deal was, because that shows how divisive Colorado actually is. If we lose it by 70-30, what's that going to do for the rest of us? That sets the tone and narrative, and that's what scares the crap out of me, because that's what we lost the bear hunting, because it was an ill-advised attempt from those agenda-driven mentalities at that point in time. That was 20 or 32 years ago. If we lose it by a significant margin, our community better really pay attention. If we lose it by a minimal margin, well, okay, we just didn't do enough, or we didn't have enough, or maybe we didn't consider enough, or maybe they just outsmarted and strategized us. But if we win by a minimal margin, you will hear the bells of Notre Dame chime, for the next 3 or 4 months. You watch what will happen during the next convention season or the sports show season, based upon what happened on November 5th in Colorado. You're going to either hear the doom and gloom, or you're going to hear the praise. But if it's doom and gloom, whatever other state you're in, they better start to activate and motivate, because I guarantee they're not going to just stand still and go, oh, look, we won in Colorado, we're all done. No, they're going to go, hey, I think we can take New Mexico.
Yeah.
I bet we can kick the crap out of Arizona. We ought to turn around and take Nevada.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Washington and Oregon. We can turn around and make a trifecta on the West Coast.
And what I worry about, how many Dan Gates we have out there in Alabama and Florida and all these other states. So we need we need to clone you really quickly.
There's only one Dan Gates.
That's good.
You are one of the most passionate people I've ever
that.
met in my life. And like you said, this is your 80th podcast already. Trying to get the word out there. Like, look at how much you've worked towards this. You both have worked towards this. And it's like, this is
I couldn't have done it without her. And we talk about it often. And I mean, she's, she doesn't get near the credit that she should, and nor does she want it. But, our son sacrifices to run the business, to keep us afloat. And, we get people saying, well, you're traveling a lot and you're talking to the sportsman. What are you doing with my $100 I donated in January? And it's like, well, that didn't fill a tank of gas up to go to the Capitol 4 times.
Yeah.
But she's sacrificed a lot on our life, and has just put up with it. Just because that's what we do. We live it, eat it, breathe it, screw it, drink it, sleep it. I mean, it's every single thing. Just looking here, I'm feeling the phone buzz, the text messages and emails that are coming across today. It doesn't stop. I mean, it's literally 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 times a day, plus podcast and plus the Zoom meetings and all the strategy stuff and the public functions. She's put up with, I don't know another woman on the planet that would allow her husband to turn around and do what we've done, but she's pissed off because they attack us. They attack our livelihood. They attack us personally. They attacked us verbally. They the stuff that we've had to turn around and deal with. If anybody has that in their life and they think that they've got a bad life, just look what the antis are trying to do to turn around and capitalize on every single living part of it. And I give the ton of credit to her, and she does every single thing that you could possibly think about doing to make sure that we can sustain the family side of it, we can sustain our side of it. We've been together 37, 38 years now, and we are a package. We do it together, but she gets pissed when they turn around and attack me, and I turn around and try to protect her and the family and the business and everything else.
Yeah.
But when they are attacking us, they're attacking you guys too. It's just you don't know it.
Yeah.
You know, they're attacking everybody.
You're the tip of the spear. You're the face of it.
Yeah.
So it's
It's getting to the point now where I'm almost, when I check my mail, I wear gloves and a mask, and I'm leery on whether I open it there, or if I take it to the police department and have them open it.
Yeah, you don't realize the shit that they've been doing.
Oh my gosh, can imagine.
Yeah,
that's awful.
I mean, from physical altercations to turn around and
Jeez.
Our house being watched.
This is not. You know, you remember that movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe?
Oh, for sure.
You know, where he said, "In this life or the next." Mm-hmm. Well, that's the way I believe that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be in this life or the next. But vengeance is bliss, and I honestly think that a victory on our end will be complete in other vengeance. But we've been under the gun and under attack on a variety of different levels for our involvement in the last 15 or 20 years. It's just that this has culminated to the point to where there's some wacko sons of bitches out there, and what they do.
Never more so.
Yeah, they despise me because we are the tip of the spear, but they despise each one of you guys too.
For sure.
Because you do it.
Yeah.
Just because you do it. It's just that maybe you aren't enemy number one, but you are.
Yeah. I was shocked. Lorenzo did a hunt, an antelope hunt with a UFC fighter, Justin Gaethje.
Yep.
And I thought UFC, you know, you're my kind of my idea on what the demographic of a UFC fighter is.
Yep.
I thought it's probably pretty closely aligned to me, and you know, I like to hunt, and I would assume that most of these UFC guys, they're probably you know, fans of the outdoors and hunting. Maybe I was blown away. I don't even think he posted a picture of it.
It wasn't even a picture of his actual antelope.
It was him on an antelope hunt, and I was blown away. I think it was the day I looked, I was with Brady. I think it was 1,100 comments, and I bet you 80% of them were what a scumbag he was.
Yep.
For
unfollowing, never going to watch you again.
I was blown away. I thought, here's a demographic I thought that would be more friendly to, you know, the understanding, I guess, of the lifestyle and, you know, hunting in general. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I was like, maybe I've been living under a rock. Maybe this is way more widespread than I thought.
I think on our end too, the internet cojones that people have been able to turn around and utilize over the course of the last 15 or 20 years, and how it's really escalated in the course of the last 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. It's easy to turn around and say, screw you, kill you, you should die, and there's no connection. But if you see the emails and when you start seeing the handwritten stuff that comes in an envelope or a package that's delivered to your house, it shows you that it's not about their perception of what you're doing is wrong, is they want you to die.
Yeah,
and if they don't want you to die, they're trying to scare the hell out of you so you quit.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Probably, yeah.
You know,
you gotta quit.
And we just got a chip on our shoulder, and we just refuse to turn around and
give up.
and
We're
break
not going
that.
to give in like that.
No.
Sure. Yeah.
Just take precautions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not Justin Gaethje or Luke Kadir or anybody, but you know, I am 61 years old, but I'll still roll around in the parking lot with somebody.
Still wrestle, roll in the dirt.
You know, I mean, I'm not. That's not a call out, but you know, you want to turn around and you know, I mean, we will be at the Capitol October 18th if you want to turn around and come down and say hi.
You mentioned something I wanted to ask you again. You said, you know, what do you say to people that somebody says, hey, what do you do with my $100 if I donate? Can you speak to that? Where does that money go? Where do you need money to, and where do you apply it?
So the two things, I mean, the Wildlife Deserve Better campaign, if they're sending money to that goes directly into the infrastructure of the campaign, which is the vote no side of this whole deal. And under Colorado law, you have to have an issues committee to be able to turn around and fight a ballot initiative. If anybody sent money into SaveTheHuntColorado.com over the course of the last year, that money has gone into, I mean, remember, several $100,000 at the onset of this to go through the legal processes and the challenges and the attorneys, the strategy companies and the compliance and the oversight. I mean, we got investigated 3 times this summer already
I'm sure.
by complaints from Cats Aren't Trophies of ethics violations and campaign finance violations and electioneering violations. We didn't have any of that. But all they had to do is say, you're bad. Hey, Attorney General or Secretary of State, investigate them.
Yeah.
And so we did. We had to fight. That's all of a campaign. You are supporting. See, some of these things that they said $50 or $100 in it, whatever that might be, it's for the operational infrastructure of the inner workings of whatever they send it in for. It's not that your $100 is just going to go to a segment and we're going to be able to buy a commercial that cost us $33,000 to run during the AFC Championship game. We were on last week on two different things for another outreach and I think it was the first football game of the season. But we did 9 or 10 different advertisements on national television, even though it's Denver market. But if you send $20 in or $20,000 in, it goes to the infrastructure and the operational aspect of creating the campaign. If you think that you're spending $100 on a Donald Trump deal and it's just going to buy banners and stuff, no, there's a collective bunch of stuff to make that campaign actually function.
Work.
And that's the same thing on this deal here.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
And it's getting more expensive. The closer you get to an election, buy time, especially in a presidential election year. When we were here before, it was going to be Trump and Biden. July happens, then it's Trump and Harris.
Yeah.
You want to talk about how things got jumbled up in the election cycles.
Yep.
There was a lot of things in Colorado. We felt a lot better then about the demographics and the makeup of people's voting back then than when it changed to where now it looks like it actually can be competitive.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
That's a big difference that people don't realize.
And whether it's circumstantial or just, I don't know, whether it's unfortunate or it's planned, it seems unfortunate that this vote landed on the same year as this election.
Oh yeah.
To be honest.
Well, and look at the fur ban deal too. I mean, and I'll give us a few statistics, and I know that we got a few other things to cover, but the Democratic caucus in Denver voted amongst their caucuses 74% to oppose the Denver fur ban. That's a monumental deal. 94% voted to oppose the slaughterhouse ban. It was right at 49% that voted in their caucus to oppose the mountain lion and bobcat ban, which is still a really good deal, especially considering where that Denver Democratic caucus is. Some of the stuff that I've engaged in and some of the events that I've gone to over the course of the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, I mean, you go to 700 people there, and there's 3 Republicans, and I'm one of them, and I'm the only idiot wearing a cowboy hat because it's the Hands Off My Hat Denver campaign, and you're trying to, I mean, these are not favorable, it's not where you would just go buy a ticket to turn around and show up, and at least by choice. But there's a lot of stuff for people to make their minds up about this year in Colorado, and you look at the Denver fur ban, the slaughterhouse ban, and the mountain lion and bobcat ban. Those are centric to some degree because of agriculture, livestock production, the choice. It's what do you want to eat? You're messing with your food. What do you want to wear? You're messing with the fur. What about a cowboy hat? Messing with the fly fishing material or the Native American crafts. And then they're messing with the wildlife side of it. Those things connect in some capacity.
For sure.
Even though people might have a difference of opinion on some of it. Because they're telling us on one thing on the fur ban, don't let people turn around and sell fur to China. What are they doing on the bobcat deal? Don't let people turn around and sell fur to China. So it's the same message. Different enemy, same message. And I think that if we're going to win on one, we're more than likely going to win on all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Even though 2 of them are just in the city and county of Denver.
Yeah. Man, it's complex, and as I'm hearing you talk, it sounds. I mean, it's almost like this perfect little storm that they've put together. With the different props that are out there, the different votes. It's just, man,
we have a tough road to toe.
Tough road. For sure. Yeah, but totally doable.
I think it's totally doable because I think I think overall, if the people are really concerned about stuff, that they'll educate themselves and they'll make the right decision.
For sure.
We talked earlier in May about a little bit of buyer's remorse that and now it's even exacerbated and been enhanced significantly because of wolves being in the news literally every single day. That is a contentious issue, and the urban-rural divide on that wolf conversation is bleeding over into the mountain lion and bobcat deal. And you can start to see what we've created off of this, what we started, that everybody else is joining forces on. We didn't have that during the wolf deal. There wasn't any. Everybody said, that won't pass.
Yeah.
Now everybody's saying, we can't let this pass.
Yeah.
Hopefully people see what a gigantic failure that's been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll let the professional do their job, you know.
Exactly.
That's
Not
crazy.
good.
We just appreciate everything that you guys and every other industry leader, podcaster, messenger, influencer has done. We got the raffle that SCI is doing. We did that one for the Gunworks rifle and the mountain lion hunt that Whitaker Brothers Outfitting did and Ovis Wildlife Taxidermy donated. It generated $150,000. Now we're into another raffle that SCI Colorado chapter is doing, and it's another Gunworks rifle and a whitetail hunt in Saskatchewan for 2. The Colorado chapter of SCI is running those, but you can go to SaveTheHuntColorado.com and buy your raffle tickets.
For all these.
For all of those.
Gotcha.
The drawing ends on the 18th of October, which remarkably is the same day as the Capitol event.
Right.
And I think the drawing is the 19th or the 20th. All the information is on the website. We'd like people to turn around and support us monetarily in any way, shape, or form. If they don't want to do that, support us by going and buying some swag and turn around and that's just like that. This is like the tailgate wrap. Only you can turn around and wear it to the grocery store or wear it while you're mowing your yard or go into the bowling alley or whatever you decide to do. You can go to the shopping cart at SaveTheHuntColorado.com. If you're so inclined by my miraculous masculine identity, you can turn around and buy a hat or a shirt with my flipping face on it that they started making. So we sold a hell of a lot of those. They got tumblers with my damn face on it. I did not make those. The team made those. I want to emphasize that was my idea, but they have sold remarkably well because I think it gives people a chance for a little bit of identity.
Yeah, put a face with it.
And recognition to say, hey, I'm part of the solution and not part of the problem.
For sure. Absolutely.
We're riding people's coattails to continue to finalize that playbook and that roadmap. And we kind of feel like Columbus. Everybody kept saying the world's flat, and we said it was round, and we're finding out that it's got a lot of curvature to it. I don't know if it's completely round yet, but we can't see the end of the horizon. I know that.
Yeah. Well, and there's still a lot of flat earthers out there, right? In many senses.
Yeah. You listen to the stuff that we see, and people are like, "Well, it's on the ballot. We're going to lose." And I joke, and I'm thinking, you must have been like a Cleveland Browns follower for so many years, because you just knew that if you were going to take the field, you were going to lose. Now it's the Denver Broncos followers, but no, we have such a remarkable team that I can't emphasize enough about what you guys and other places have done. Just to say, hey, open arms, come in, let you use our format, and let us help us message on your behalf, because you see what's going on. It's not just about us. It's about every single thing that every single other part of the industry and entity is having to deal with. And I got to give credit to our team and the guys at Howl for Wildlife and all the other influencers and podcasters and the big names out there. I mean, I'm supposed to get on Samuel Thrasher. Aaron Snyder wants me back on with Kafaru. Bear Hunter Magazine, Colby just texted yesterday. Rockcast is doing another deal. It's not so much that we supply such good ratings. They're like, what's going on and what can we do to help in the final 6 weeks of this to make sure that we help send it over the edge.
Yeah, we have to push it to the finish line right now.
Yeah. Especially during hunting season. Make sure that everybody's still got the opportunity to pay attention to it. So,
I think we are gonna win. I mean, if you go historically, you look at the wolf issue. I almost said woof because I had a college professor. That's what you used to call it, wolves. Anyway, wow. That's how we used to do it too. We always did the hand gesture. Anyway, interesting chap. But if you look at that, there was not a lot. of education. There wasn't a ton of movement. There weren't a lot of people talking about it, not nearly as much as there is with this issue.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, we can look back on that, and we've learned, that, hey, we can't be complacent. And I feel like with that issue, we were complacent personally.
Who would have thought that
largely,
anybody wanted to do it by a ballot initiative?
Sure.
After all the conundrum and consternation that happened in the northern states by just the federal government doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And so, if you look at it historically, and that was a close vote with not a lot known. I think you've been personally, you've been very proactive, and, you've been kind enough to let us, help you in any way that we can get the word out. I think that, and if everybody reaches out, if we buy T-shirts, if we support the cause, if we shoot text messages and make phone calls to people in Colorado, if we do that, I think, given the fact that it was so close with Wolves, I think we're going to win.
Yeah,
I do too.
I really do.
I'd ask you, from your guys' perspective and who you deal with, what do you think a good question would be for Karen to try to convey to other couples or family members, or how women and kids could support the cause of their family members? Because you guys look at this from a sales and a business side of things, but trying to commingle that with the message and the cause side of things. This is not the glamour stuff. This is not the cool stuff. This is a lot of the important stuff. But you got anything that you think that would be beneficial for the public to hear from
a female perspective?
Yeah.
For example, I went elk hunting last week. I brought home 185, 190 pounds of meat. Right, I had some success. That's something that I spent the last couple of days processing and putting in the freezer. We had elk tacos. We've had burgers. My wife, she's been hunting. She doesn't actively hunt. My kids, I've got a couple that are kind of semi-interested. I've got one that's really interested, my youngest. I'm gone a lot. I'm on the road a lot. I'm hunting. My wife is kind of the glue, I guess you would say. She's the one at home, and she's the one that's making and preparing me. I think any messaging that you can provide to women, to females, hey, this is a lifestyle. This is something we get our meat from the mountains, which I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but maybe somebody out there listening that's a female. I think that's the message. There's like this way of life, this thing that we value. We value, at least in my family, we value it for more than the meat. It's the entire experience, it's a lifestyle, something that it's our tie to the natural world. I think that's kind of the messaging I would suggest, maybe for females. How do you feel? What do you think?
I would agree with that. I think looking at it from a standpoint of being a mom, our son Ethan started going out with Dan when he was barely even old enough to have a snowsuit on and be a part of it. And then as he got older, he got to start hunting. It's more just family time, and to where you're teaching them morals, ethics. I think that's so important, especially nowadays. And then with being a mom, you get to then be a part of that, but then you get to do the finished product, such as cooking the elk meat or the deer meat or the pheasants, the ducks. You include all your birds and stuff in there. So I would say to the women out there, just be a part of the family unit, no matter how big or how small. If you love to go hunting with them, just be a part of it. I hunt, but I'm not always on that standpoint. I'm more of the home, taking care of it, and then doing the finished product with cooking and just supporting them. But I think it's very important.
My wife's also a fifth grade teacher. Most of the women, she works with mostly women, most of the teachers, and I don't know, statistically, probably most of the elementary school teachers are probably female. And I mean, maybe that's an avenue, to talk about the natural world and talk, and don't be afraid. It probably has at this point become somewhat of a, I would be interested. I'm going to ask her actually when I get home, how do you, how do you talk about, wildlife in the natural world, and do you talk about hunting as part of that process, and where does it fit in?
No, that's a good point.
It would be interesting to ask her, but I would say that's essentially, it's probably an avenue that you can work that in. The North American model of wildlife conservation, how it works, why it works.
Well, and
American history. You talk about the loss of
Exactly.
species and the extinction of species due to a lack of any kind of structure or scientific management, which we've been fortunate to have for a long time, and it's worked.
Well, the family unit can be the ambassador when you're not dealing with ballot initiatives, to where you don't have to be such an ambassador when you have to deal with ballot initiatives.
Yeah.
If it becomes mainstream, and I say that tongue in cheek, but I've done enough stuff in the Denver metro area, and you go to somebody's house and you're in the basement doing a podcast, or you go there just to drink a beer after some social function or whatever, and you just look at the houses, and it's the same in Vegas or any big city, but stacked on top of each other, one after another, trampolines and hot tubs and sports cars and mountain bikes and all this stuff. And then more often than not, the guy's stuff is hanging in the garage with a few deer heads, maybe some horns and stuff, because the wife won't allow it in the house. But she's still acceptant or proud that her husband has this, and he's doing that besides going to the bar. He's doing that besides doing things that maybe she would prefer him not to do.
Yeah.
But if they would convey that message about the inner working family relationship, when it's not mandatory to talk about it, but it's just part of the normal deal, I see more often than not people say, well, I didn't even know he hunted. Well, why the hell not? Why didn't that guy tell him? Why didn't the family tell him? Why didn't the kids tell him? It's like that we're trying to keep this secret amongst ourselves because nobody really knows that the other ones are actually doing it. She's been doing this for as long as we've been together, and she's actually got into not altercations, but distribution of information from an educational side of things to say, no, I know the facts of this. And then she's changed the minds of a lot of different people. If every husband and wife and family unit would do that when it's not necessary, it'd be a lot easier. Maybe we wouldn't have to be doing as much as what we're doing when it comes to public opinion.
For sure. Yeah, it wouldn't be necessary. Yeah, we wouldn't have to show up and vote. Because it would be, it'd
be a lot tougher.
It would be a given.
That 80% of the middle that we're talking about, Karen has as much of an influence on that 80%, 99% of the time out of the year as what I do when I'm turning around and going to my stuff. Because 99% of the time, unless I'm going to the Capitol or a commission meeting, everybody I'm talking to is our circle. We need to be talking to the people that aren't in our circle. And I think that's where that tailgate wrap deal comes in handy. Maybe maybe we come up with a tailgate wrap down the road and we're victorious on this, and we just get people to turn around and wrap their tailgates to run them around for the entire year to talk about, hey, North American model, science-based wildlife management. Or I don't know, but there's got to be something different than what we've been doing, because this system is not working if we got to keep going back to the ballot and trying to fight and raise millions of dollars when that money should be going to the conservation and the education side as opposed to the fight side.
I've brought it up before, but I think, and I talked to, when I was in Colorado, I had a camera guy, but I was talking to him about it. But I feel like for so long we've pandered to that crowd. We've managed their emotions. So like if you're an anti-hunter and you hate hunting, we've almost kind of taken the whole process of killing, eating an animal off the table. We've been like, we're going to kind of hide this. We're going to take this. We're going to kind of, pamper it, make sure that you don't have to see it. You don't have to look at it. You don't have to know anything about it. We're going to manage and massage your feelings. And I understand it to some extent. I mean, people talk about grip and grin photos, and
it drove me so crazy with the whole trophy photo 2.0 thing. Yeah, there's like a different movement some people were doing about like hiding their kills. Yeah, and I think I talked about it before on the podcast, but I took my youngest to hunter's education, and the individual that taught the class, he probably spent 15, 20 minutes talking about how you transport your animal. You put it under a tarp, you make sure that there's no blood on your tailgate so that nobody sees you. And I understand that. I get it all, but it almost seems like to the point, like we've overcorrected so much that a lot of people, we've massaged it to the point they don't even understand where meat comes from.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
That an animal has to die in order to eat protein. And a lot of these people will go to a supermarket, they'll buy a steak, they'll buy chicken, they'll buy turkey, they'll buy whatever the hell it is that they want to eat, and they'll never give another thought to it. But for them to think think that an animal had to die. It's like there's not even connection.
You know, and that you joke about that, but it's not a joke. But think about if you went to the supermarket and when you went to the meat aisle, there was a great big tarp, or it was like a black room.
Yeah.
You went in. Nobody, if you didn't want to look at it, you didn't want to be offended.
Right.
You just went in there, and then you could pick out your stuff, and then you had to put it in a dark bag, not a plastic bag in Colorado because they banned them.
I noticed that last week. I was like, that was
Yes.
very weird.
Yeah.
What's going on? You got to carry everything.
You carry your own crap out.
Like, what?
It's, but if they go through the produce aisle, do all the stuff, they get to the meat aisle. It's
What
dead
sounds
stuff.
stupid? It's probably not even that far of a stretch.
No, it's not. Because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings,
Yeah.
and you don't want to give them the
Feelings
facts, and you don't want to give them the information about where their stuff comes from and how it's actually appropriately managed. Look what they're doing on slaughterhouse. If you don't want to eat lamb, don't eat lamb. They're talking about the cruel and inhumane punishment that it takes you're killing a lamb. Doesn't matter whether it's in the field or in that slaughterhouse there, as long as it's done as efficiently and effectively as what you possibly can, and it's regulated by the state and the federal government. Period. It's a hard stop. They don't want you to do it because if you listen to and I would encourage people, look at Pro Animal Future and see what they say. They say we want to alter people's way that they eat, the way they live. They're not talking about a slaughterhouse. We want you to do what we want you to do because we want you to do it because it's wrong. Yeah. Listen to what they say. Cats Aren't Trophies, Pro Animal Future, Humane Society of the United States, Wild Earth Guardians, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, Prairie Protection, Mountain Lion Foundation, Project Coyote. It doesn't matter. Listen to what they say. They are not for the animal. They are for taking away the opportunity for us to harvest and manage those wildlife and those domestic animals.
And that's where I think there's so much crazy things going out there about like the whole misinformation of everything they're talking about. Like early on, it was like, oh, you can't eat meat from a mountain lion. Like you just hunt it and leave it there. And even when I've killed 2 mountain lions, even when I posted photos about me eating the meat on it, I get so many questions from hunters. You actually eat that? I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But then like the whole misinformation that they always push out, oh, you can't eat that or anything. And so last night, just ties into misinformation. I don't know how it ties into this directly, but I was on Instagram and I got served a post from Carrie Underwood. I don't follow Carrie Underwood. I don't listen to her music. I don't even know where she lands on the hunting side or not. But it was a photo of her holding a fish. So she was out fishing somewhere. There's a comment from PETA, of course, of her just holding a fish. And here's the comment. It says, no, with like a little cry face. Say it isn't so. You know they suffocate the minute you take them out of the water. What happened to our kind vegetarian with a broken heart emoji? So even right there, PETA is trying to jump on Carrie Underwood, which probably has I don't know how many followers she has, probably a lot.
Yep.
And trying to spread misinformation about fishing. And instantly, she's holding a fish out. She's very proud of her fish. And PETA's trying to obviously, get a bunch of attention from that and spread that misinformation. There's already a lot of comments about it, like people kind of roasting her for fishing, just to spread the lies and to make it seem like fishing is a bad thing, which then will just lead into everything else. You can't go fishing. You can't, do any sort of thing because it's going to hurt an animal. And they're saying, oh, the minute you take it out of the water, it's suffocating it. You should not be fishing because you're harming the fish.
And and if anybody thinks that is a far stretched overstatement in our lifetime.
Yeah, look how crazy that sounds.
Yeah.
That PETA is trying to spread that message that once you take it out of the water, it's suffocating it. It's like, so what happens when I go swimming? Do I instantly suffocate when I go swimming? No, I can hold my breath for a little bit and do things. It's like, but
I don't know. I'm just sitting here scratching my head thinking, how on God's green earth did we get to this point?
Did we get to this point?
So asinine.
Extremist.
It sounds so
and you want to talk about extremism, and we spend enough time in downtown Denver, but you walk the streets in downtown Vegas, and I mean, it's like, I know how Mork and Mindy felt when I was a kid.
Are dating
it's like nanu. It's like we were gambling late last night, and actually we kept winning money, so we just kept gambling. You walk in the street after dark, and you're like, oh. And whether it's Vegas or anywhere else, you rely on these people to make the right decision to vote. I don't care if it's about traffic or spaceships or mountain lions and bobcats. It's like, I'm hoping they don't vote. There's this extremism, asinine mentality that we've gotten to that you just wonder, where does any of this stuff come from? And it's just the fact that it's easy enough through ballot initiative processes in 26 states to say, I don't like it, and I don't want you to do it, and this is what we're going to say, and it's going to cost you millions of dollars to turn around and beat us because we don't want you to do whatever it might
to
be.
defend
when
it.
you could be using that money, like I said earlier, for something else, to put more animals on the landscape, to help conserve these things.
Yes.
Yeah, you could be doing bighorn sheep transplants or chronic wasting disease studies or whatever it is that you could be. Yeah, instead you're trying to defend just absolute.
Well, we would encourage people if they're out of state, if they're in state, follow us on Instagram, c.r.w.m. Follow us on Facebook at Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. Share the stuff, but comment and then turn around and really get it out.
Yeah, get it out to your friends.
Because we've got 11,900 followers on our Instagram page. The first of the year we had like 6 people. Which I didn't, Charles was laughing at me. I didn't even know how to open the Instagram deal. He says, "Well, you got a page here." I'm like, "I don't know what to do with it." So we've increased tenfold. 2 days ago, on the professional dashboard that you got, our stuff last month was viewed 1.1 million times. Yeah. That's on a non-glorious, glorifying issue about anti-hunting. We're not doing grip and grins. We're not. If you see the stuff that we're kicking out, it's factual based, it's science based. Yeah. It's a good product to be able to turn around and connect the dots on our circle to make sure that we're part of everything.
And I guarantee it's like sharing, commenting, all that stuff's good. And I've obviously been in a lot of meetings with you guys and Howell, and like you guys give me some of the assets, and I've like shared some of the assets. Like I made a post. I can't remember what it was, a couple weeks ago on my personal. I had that exact video posted on. There was the same video you guys posted, but I posted on my personal, added a big long message to it, and that got reshared, that got commented, and that. If you want to also, I guarantee you, if you probably sent you guys a message or an email saying, "Hey, I saw you posted that video on your Instagram. Could you send me that video so I can actually post it to myself or my own personal pages?" I guarantee you guys will do that.
Yeah.
And like that can also be impactful as well. Like, yeah, sure. Like me just sharing it could have done something, but I want to put an extra stamp on it. Like I believe in this. I'm posting it on my personal. It's living there forever to people to comment on.
Right.
So even if you have 100 followers, even if you have no followers, even if it's your Facebook page that your grandparents and your friends are on, ask maybe to get a copy of that video and to share it yourself as your own personal thing, because that's going to make a more emphasis to the people who are.
Well, and that goes into the shadow banning side of things too, where the algorithms and analytics and whatever it is, they say, "Oh no, you can't do that because you showed a hunter walking up the hill and he had a gun, and we don't allow guns."
Yeah.
Okay, well, but if you get 900 people sharing that thing or putting it out on their own, it's kind of hard to turn around and control all of that. And I think that those are things that the sporting community has not figured out completely, because for a lot of it, that's grip and grin. It's this is what I got. Look at here's the 9 different views of what I got. How about you turn around and taking one really good post of one of your influencers or somebody that you really admire, and then kick that out there, because we have such tools available to us in the toolbox. Not every single one of us knows what those red-handled pair of pliers does, or got all the little grippy things on it. My kid does, but I'm like, what the hell does that do? And he said, well, you strip this and you turn around and take this. There's the same thing on the digital side of things. Yeah. If you look at 90% of that stuff that's on, I'm like, I don't know what this does. I'll push that button, and all of a sudden it comes up with this big tutorial and explanation. I'm thinking, wow, I didn't realize that. Lauren Schrag with Good Bull Outdoors is doing our social media stuff for us, and he's great. But the difference between what he's doing for outreach and messaging versus campaign type stuff, political stuff, that's a different thing, because people don't want to hear politics unless it's going to dramatically affect them. Where they'll watch other stuff that doesn't affect them at all, just because there's a little French bulldog running around chasing a cat or something. Nobody has a French bulldog, nobody's got the cat, but they think it's cute. You start talking politics, nobody wants to do anything with it unless it affects them. And Lauren is helping to navigate that so appropriately to keep us up at the level with the algorithms and analytics, to make sure that we at least have the opportunity to expand that message and hopefully continue to get people on board to be able to expand it on their own.
Final take homes. Give us some action. What do you want to see from us, from people that listen to our podcast?
I would really, really like to see the next 6 weeks just flood social media from a variety of different levels, whether it's the yard signs, the tailgate wraps, the donations, the shopping cart stuff, the raffle tickets. That's I keep emphasizing it, and it's the money side, but that's all of those things combined are what people can do to engage and to be part of the team. If you live in Oklahoma, you can't vote in Colorado. Mm-hmm. There's no sense you putting a yard sign up in Oklahoma that says vote no on 127.
Sure.
Because down there it might be something that's completely different.
Yeah.
But if you're out of state, figure out a way that you can contribute to in one way, shape, or form. If you're in state, make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you vote. You can register all the way up to the day of the election. Like I say, buy a T-shirt, get yourself a vehicle wrap, put a yard sign out. If you want to turn around and wrap something and put it in your yard, and we got guys all around the state turning around and taking great big giant hay bales and stacking it on the side of the highway, and then doing a big deal that says vote no on 127. We got guys doing, which is kind of ingenious, the 3D archery targets with deer and elk.
Yep.
Writing on the side of them, spray painting, vote no on 127 and parking it out there in front of their house or on their property or something.
That's fun.
We got some guys that want to do that to cows. I'm like, that's probably not the thing that I would do, but it would get some attention anyway.
Yeah.
But, find out where you fit in, because this is a Colorado issue right now, but you might have something going on in your particular state, and if it's not now, you will. Mm-hmm. How can you participate across border lines, across species pursuits, across methods of take, and what do you want to support to make sure that we can continue to do what we do in Colorado for science-based wildlife management? Because if we win here, then we built the roadmap and the playbook for everybody else to capitalize off of. If we lose and you didn't do anything, then you were part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that happen.
Gotcha.
I think that we can really, really kick ass, and I look forward to November 5th. I'm concerned, but I'm concerned about the presidential election. I'm concerned about a lot of other things as well, and I think that we have a chance to make a remarkable outcome. And I will tell you, every single person that has contributed and every single business that has given us a platform will be recognized, win, lose, or draw, to say this is what happened. And if you didn't think that your $100 went very far, look at what we accomplished. Look at what we did, whether we win, lose, or draw. Mm-hmm. So it would just thanks a bunch for you guys being able to continue to help spread the word and spread the message. And whatever you can do in the next 6 weeks on your end, like I say, at the end of everything I do is aim small, miss small, because that's all we're trying to do at this point in time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. We wish you a very happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I guess, and thank you for always supporting. I mean,
she's badass.
Thank you.
And good luck this afternoon at your appointment. Hope it goes great.
I'm excited.
I'm sure you're excited. I bet.
She's getting another butterfly.
I would be too. I guess I would just add to it. So if you're from Colorado, register to vote. Vote no on 127. If you're not from Colorado, reach out to somebody. I guarantee you everybody knows somebody from Colorado. Mm-hmm. Reach out to them personally. Let them know how much this means to you. And tell them to register and vote now on 127, and then show up at the Capitol if you can.
Show up at the Capitol.
On
October 18th. We'll expect to see you guys there. I don't know what you're doing, but you'll be there sometime.
Exactly. Let's jump on a plane. Let's go there.
I like it. I love it, actually.
Yeah,
It'd be great. We'll see if we can make that happen.
If we could get Charles awesome. And a bunch of different people to show up. I mean, there again, it's part of the playbook.
Sure.
Are we a part of the team?
Yeah.
And I think if nothing else, we'll use your great big picture behind us, and then turn around and
Yeah. I tell you what, though, if I'm coming, I'm driving because I don't want to deal with Denver Airport.
Well, you could go to the Denver Airport and wear some of this apparel and fly in the airport with it.
See, there you go.
Bring up a lot of discussion.
I'd rather put the wrap in the bumper sticker and drive the 500 miles or whatever it is. Me and Denver Airport are not best friends.
We'll help you out however we can.
Yeah.
We know you won't be hunting in Colorado then, but you might have seasons somewhere else. But no, we'd love to be able to turn around, just get the message out. Wouldn't it be cool as hell on 9 different news stations in the Denver metro area that you turn around and look, and there's 1,500 or 2,000 sportsmen down there with hounds and camo and orange, and I mean that would be a showing and a sight that the antis would look and go, holy crap, Who are we up against?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see.
Well, thank you again.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you guys.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you both.